Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Beyond the Credits and Chords. I am your host, Practical. Today I am joined by the fellas.
Danny boy.
It's Rex.
Hey, how's it going, y'all? It's Brandon.
And today on the show we're going to talk about Darren Aronofsky. He is an American filmmaker from Brooklyn, New York. Some of his influences are Akira Kurosawa, Roman Polanski, Terry Gilliam, Spike Lee. So some people we've talked about already. He's been attached to direct a couple comic book adaptations that have never really seen the light of day. Stuff including Superman, Batman, Watchmen, Sin City. He's directed six Oscar-nominated actor performances: Ellen Burstyn, Mickey Rourke, Marissa Tomei, Natalie Portman, Brendan Fraser, and Hong Chow. Um, and today we're going to be discussing five of his films: Pi, The Fountain, The Wrestler, Black Swan, and Mother. So tell me about Darren Aronofsky, fellas.
Well, now that you said it all.
That was a beautiful intro, Aaron.
That was
It was
intro.
great.
I was just giving you a hard time. Relax.
I didn't say anything.
No, you just had his boys come to freaking.
These five movies were a pretty good variety of, kind of his range of what his films are. I think we probably missed out on maybe a handful more, but these obviously are the career defining ones for him, especially ones like Black Swan, and The Wrestler. Those ones I always recommend those ones when people have ever mentioned him. Everybody says Requiem for Your Dream, and yeah, that movie has its shock and awe, like the first time you see it, but these other ones, like the ones we watched, they have a lot more replay value, I would say. So, but yeah, the camera work that he has, and we'll talk some of the techniques and stuff that he uses, but I really like just his art style too. I think a couple of the films he films purposely more of a grainy vibe. I think it was The Wrestler and Black Swan. But I like that it looks grainier. It doesn't look so, produced, I guess you could say. But no, these were a fun little five quartet. No, quintet. Whatever. These were a good five movies.
That's why
Five.
I made
I'm
no sense
sorry.
because I don't know nothing about math.
Correct.
I ain't math that.
That's why Pi gave me anxiety.
All
I
numbers
don't
in that
know
one,
no
man.
math.
All right, Rex. Well, since it was your pick, and you hadn't seen any of these movies, how did you feel about Mr. Aronofsky?
wild.
Dude, these movies, all in all, were pretty sweet to watch. It wasn't actually probably a few years ago I actually knew who directed Requiem for a Dream. I haven't seen that movie for a long time. But I feel a lot of he's got, I mean, just like every director, a style, and I really like his style. He's got a lot of things that he does in his movies that, again, every director does these, but I just like what he does in them. And also The Whale. That's probably the main reason I chose this guy, because that movie's fucking sweet.
You like that movie?
Oh,
That
yeah.
movie
I
is
agree.
You
weird,
really like that
man.
movie, yeah.
It's weird how much it got me.
Got you again.
I mean, I don't want kids. Don't plan on having any, so I don't have that connection to that. But just the story, I don't know. Just the way it was done.
That movie made
hard.
me cry my eyes out, man. I was in the
I
theater.
I don't tear very often. I think I went with Practical and my brother to see this in theaters, and yeah, I shed a few tears during that, and I was like, oh, well, they don't see me because I'm a pussy.
Yeah, don't look at me.
But no, the movie, even every time I watch it, I still get a little tear for it. But that's the reason why I chose him.
But yeah, I think Darren Aronofsky's he's a solid director. I like that he has a vision. He's definitely a modern auteur, especially around the more early 2000s. He kind of came into the same prominence maybe with guys like maybe Sam Mendes and Alfonso Cuarón. I don't know how long those guys have been, but I kind of think about all of those guys in the same realm because they're all making movies in the early 2000s, and they all are, they all have solid visions and they make the films they want to make, so I really appreciate that, because everyone always knows about Francis Ford Coppola or Brian De Palma or Steven Spielberg, and a lot of the modern guys get left in the wind, and I like that he's one of the modern guys, even if I, don't like his movies as much as some of the other guys on the podcast. There's definitely a couple that I really, really like, but I think some of them kind of left me wanting more, or maybe even in some cases, maybe wanting less. uh, but we'll get to that. So yeah, but I appreciate him for being a modern auteur, and for working with the same crew all the time. It really, he's able to really create his vision, and that's something I can always appreciate when it comes to directors. So even if his movies didn't really sit with me as well as others, I can appreciate that. So
Yeah, definitely. I think Darren Aronofsky is one of the modern greats, and he's kind of carved out his own style, and he's sitting there with Nolan and Fincher as kind of the modern identifiable directors, our generation of like Kubrick and, like you mentioned, De Palma and all that. So it's like it's cool that we have directors like that for our generation that have actually stood out and made something of themselves. And I'm a big fan. I was pretty excited when you chose him because I'd already seen all these movies with the exception of Pi. Pi was the first time for me. I always intended to watch it, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. And based on what we were talking about, I'm not don't really give a shit about numbers and math and shit either. So I was never in a fucking hurry to watch the movie overall. But um, I'm glad I did, and I'm glad we did choose him. Like I said, he's probably a big one for me personally. I usually like every movie he comes out with, but the biggest and best being The Wrestler. Like I put in my letterboxd, if they could let me have a slot 5, that's where that movie would sit. So.
hell yeah, and our truth is in that movie.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, let's start talking about some of his overall themes in his movies, which most of his movies kind of share some similar themes, the majority of them anyway. Uh, things like characters not necessarily being the best people, but having redemption arcs and or a heavy focus on looking within and trying to be better and this or that and things backfiring. So that seems to be kind of like a common thing, but all of them achieving something great. Um, so tell me about it, Danny.
I
How are
think
these things for you?
I think a lot of these movies, especially the ones we watched, have like a protagonist that's got like a secret that you don't really quite know right off the bat. Whether it's Natalie Portman with the whole scratching thing, or the guy from Pi, having that incident by staring at the sun. He's all fucked up in the head, but he thinks that's like part of his genius, and um, I just thought that was kind of interesting that he kind of has that one primary focus. Whereas, other movies that he's done, like Requiem for a Dream, it's like you're following 4 different people, which is cool, but like it can be confusing sometimes for the viewer when you're trying to follow all that and, invest yourself into a certain story. But I think that he did it well in that movie. Now, in these movies, it's pretty apparent, what path you're following. But that's just the beauty of, how he can kind of film that and, you know, a lot of the camera movement being as sporadic and moving around as it is. I like that. I don't like when it's always so stiff and just like panny or whatnot.
You like the
um,
handheld?
I enjoy it a lot. It gives it more depth. It makes you a lot more involved. You're actually watching. You're not just like, oh, this is a scene of them walking, who cares. It's like, no, this is a scene of them like hunting, like looking around for something. um so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like weird elements too, especially with a lot of the imagery that he uses in some of his movies. I mean, shit, there's some scenes in Black Swan that like give me straight up nightmares, dude. Like, I don't care. I don't care if that
That
guy's
movie was
got makeup
crazy.
on, dude. That guy dressed as the Black Swan freaks me the fuck out. Like, if I saw someone like that, like in my room, just standing in the corner, like, no way, no way. But he's always got a something going on with that. he's really good about. It's not like body horror stuff, but like even in the fountain when he was like reaching into that like gash that he had, like dude, it was pretty like grotesque. It wasn't Cronenberg status, but um, yeah, there's a lot of attention to detail with stuff like that. So I think they're all somewhat similar in that aspect. That's kind of what I got from it, but
I kind of feel like The Substance had to have gotten a little bit of influence from Black Swan and some of the things you were talking about right
for
there.
sure, yeah.
You could see some similarities in some of the camera work when they're doing some of the more horrific shit, like when she's reaching into her
Right.
her thigh or her ass or whatever, and she pulls at the drumstick.
Yeah.
That kind of reminded me of how you're describing some of the shit in
Mhm.
Black Swan right there. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. What about you, Rex? First timer, Aaron
Um, for a first timer, all of his characters, I mean, in all the movies I've seen, pretty much, besides maybe a little bit of Noah, I guess too, but they're all like real anxious, obnoxious, and obsessive in weird different ways. Like
A lot of
Requiem,
obsessiveness,
drugs.
yeah.
Mother is J Law or J Law's obsession with her husband. It's kind of a thing, and they all have this kind of air of anxiety about them, like uneasiness. And I like that in all the things in all his movies. I mean, that he uses with his main characters and some side ones, but also I got to rewatch some of the other ones. But in these ones, I've noticed he uses a lot of not in these ones, a lot of mirror shots, like in Pi, which I just got off watching. There was a ton of them. Holy moly, there's a ton of that movie where he's just looking in the mirror's there, and other movies like that, like Black Swan, obviously, because of the movie, there's going to be mirrors. But, in Requiem and all that, you have that going on with Jennifer Connelly and stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like he uses that a lot. And then, like what Danny was saying, I really like his use of making you feel like you're with the character. Like even in Pi, his first movie, when he's running after the dude who took a picture of him, like the whole running scene is just kind of crazy. It feels like you're with them, and same with Mother, and like when they're doing drugs in Requiem, like you get this kind of like feel you're part of their like quick little lifestyle type thing. I don't know. It's a really cool kind of styles he has. Also, a lot of death and like maybe like religious kind of stuff in his movies too, like background, like with Mother and Pi and Noah. I mean, something in there, but I always like kind of religious-y type movies, not so much Noah, but in like thriller or like horror aspects, I love it.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, my favorite themes that he kind of always comes back to are identity, paranoia. He uses the domineering mother a lot, and I really like, especially in Black Swan, the relationship between the mother and Natalie Portman. And Natalie Portman does a really good job of selling how stressful a situation like that can be. Um, uh, I really like in Pi how he's kind of coming to terms with his own knowledge of the unknown. Like he has this pattern that he's following, which I mean, to me, if you're gonna follow a number pattern, you can follow a number pattern. You're always gonna find it. But he thinks he's onto something, and he's digging deeper, and he's got the shadow organization after him. The paranoia, and then the fountain is kind of more. I don't know. It's more interesting in a way where it's more themes of love and loss, and how dealing with that, and how do you deal with that, and what lengths would you go to change that? I don't know. He's definitely an interesting uh, filmmaker, and his themes are ever present in all of his movies. I usually like that a lot, where movies are more based on their themes than their plot. Like that's kind of the plot is secondary to the themes. So we'll see. See how it comes out at the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have hope for that comment there. So let's move along and talk about his style real quick. His style is something that I was talking to Brandon about before we jumped on. Is he mimics something that you see in old school Hollywood a lot, which is like the close shots to people's faces and from certain angles and shit during real emotional scenes, and like the character will be exploring something that's going on with them, and the way he's filming their face, you immediately kind of know the emotion that's being expressed, and I really like that about him. I think he does it probably the absolute best in Mother.
I was just thinking about after
Yeah.
she got her ass beat, like the way he kind of no, like it's the way he shows her face and like that anger when she's all got this big old black eye mess. I don't know. I thought it was great. Like
Yeah.
the shots.
He's really good at that, and his movies all kind of do have a kind of a almost a dirty, grimy feel to them, but in a different way than what we're used to talking about. Like they all feel dark in a way, but never like, I don't know, in a super obvious way. It's more as you start to analyze the themes and put it with his style, you can kind of just feel that darkness which is present in almost every movie that he's made.
Yeah. I think about all the
yeah.
bathroom scenes in Black Swan again, just how grimy those all are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The fucking fingernails, dude. That shit is not chill. The toenails, I'm sorry.
Why do they use scissors to cut the nails? That freaked me out almost more than anything else in that
Those are
movie,
old
dude.
school- Those are
Bitch,
old
dude.
school. No,
Dude.
those are old school. Those are old school nail clippers. But yeah,
Are they,
no.
dude? That terrified. I thought she was gonna cut her toe off when she's just.
Dude,
Yeah,
Barbara
dude.
Hershey rules in that movie. Dude.
I love me some Barbara Hershey.
Barbara Hershey's is great in general. Yeah, she's really good. All right, Danny
The
boy, hit
Hirsch.
us with the style.
So from what I've read, he's used a lot of is influenced a lot by Kurosawa, like you were saying earlier, and then a little Roman Polanski, which is a foreshadow of something we'll be doing later on down the road. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, the two movies that I really enjoyed the most, that I think are his best, being Black Swan and The Wrestler, are both filmed, like I said earlier, with that grainy look to it, where it doesn't look as, like I was saying earlier, not as produced. So I kind of like when movies are shot like that. It doesn't feel as Hollywood dramatized. It's more realistic, more real life. But not to say that the other ones weren't. I mean, Pie's in black and white, for crying out loud. So, and that being his first movie, it didn't look the best, but it got its message across.
I thought that movie looked awesome.
Yeah. But then you get to like Mother, and he's got all these things at his disposal that he's able to do. And that movie is shot really, really well because of how lost you get in the rooms in that entire, like, that whole movie. It's like that house is huge.
The biggest house I've ever experienced in a movie.
It's so crazy. And like, to think that it takes place in that house the entire time, like, you try to tell someone that there's a 2-hour movie of like this woman stuck in this house. I'm not watching that. No, I mean, things happen, it's not just her just sitting there, folding laundry or something like that. Like, she's, going through it. But, yeah, I just like the way that movie was shot ultimately the most, just because it was just so like turning the corner, and it felt like a fever dream because of how many people were just like multiplying and shit. And I was like, this is giving me anxiety, dude. I don't like this. But yeah, he does a lot of those headshots, like we were saying. He uses a lot of light too, like to do more like silhouette kind of shots in certain moments, or like just bright light, like affecting the character, like they're kind of like going in and out of whatever they're going through. So I kind of like that he does that. But yeah, just the rawness, man. The handheld camera, just it absolutely makes a difference in watching a movie, like feeling a movie, I guess.
Oh,
yeah. Musically, I think these movies are great. Like the themes and stuff that he uses, like Black Swan at the end. I didn't realize that the guy who did the music for Star Wars kind of got some inspiration from the composer for Swan Lake, which is what that movie's actual ballet dance is based off of or whatever. Because at the end of it, I'm listening to it. I was like, are we listening to Star Wars right here?
Right.
Either way, but besides that, even in the movie, just it was with the grittiness mixed with the music and his style of filming, it just kind of brings all his movies together. And I do really like the kind of one space movies, even though that house and Mother had 60 rooms. It was still was like contained in that house, same with like the whale and stuff. It's just really cool when directors do that and can make movies interesting. I mean, a real extreme example is like Buried with Ryan Reynolds. I think that's who was in it. That movie was sweet, but nothing happens. Really, like some shit comes in, a snake gets in there, but really
I got
nothing
claustrophobia.
happens.
I could not watch that movie.
Dude,
No,
that
thanks.
movie gives you claustrophobia. But I mean, it's just I really like that. And then I already mentioned this, the style with the camera shots and stuff. But I kind of said everything I had. But I think it's really good, and I do feel a little bit of Spike Lee in some of his movies, like
Absolutely.
Summer of Sam specifically. I felt like in I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. I'll come back to that. I had it and I was about to say it and it disappeared.
That's okay.
It
I'll come back
happens.
to that.
Hey,
It'll come back around.
I think he has an interesting style. He definitely, again, he has a style that's all his own, which is something I appreciate. He's definitely one of the new blood, the new generation of filmmakers. I like that he uses the same cinematographer for I think almost every one of his major releases except The Wrestler. And then he definitely uses the same composer for every one of his releases. And I really, really like a lot of the music in as it gets better and better as it goes on with Clint and Matt are the names of his composer and his cinematography respectively. But yeah, he's got an interesting style. I like the way he uses the handheld camera, his use of lighting. He gets in there and really shows you that experience that character is in in all of his movies. Really, you're in the play with Natalie Portman, you're in the ring with Mickey Rourke, or you're freaking doing God knows whatever Hugh Jackman is doing in the fountain.
Tree, dude.
Dude, I mean, and even earlier in
He's
Requiem
tree
for a
fucking.
Dream, he has a lot of shots where you're just like that fucking Nine Inch Nails song, you're down in it. Freaking, you're in there with Marlon Wayans. He's running from the drug deal gone bad, and that's like one of the earliest times I've ever seen the camera in the face thing, the rig that they use. I can't remember seeing that very often earlier than that, and that's pretty sweet. And I mean, Mother, you're right on her shoulder. She's fucking running through the labyrinth. I think she's being chased by the Minotaur. But
Minotaur.
So yeah, I can appreciate his style and his use of the same guys over and over again. So kudos to him. That's pretty sweet.
Kudos.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
freaking tight.
So sick.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said about him. I think that he also, does some things that you see in Spike Lee movies in general, kind of like what Rex was saying, like that Requiem scene that you're talking about is a good example of like being there right in the face of Marlon Wayans as he's running. That's kind of a Spike Lee angle, I think, and the way it's following the action and the intensity and shit like that. And then like the riot scene of at the end of Do the Right Thing, at the end of Mother, where everything is going super chaotic. That's pretty similar too, and it's like the tension's there, and the way it's filmed, kind of from like the hip, and then it moves up to the shoulder point of view, and then over her shoulder a lot of the time. It's kind of the same way Do the Right Thing was, and I appreciate that. And you can, I love when you can see the influences of like the previous generation of directors and the new generation. Just like we talked about that a little bit with Spirit Box when we did that episode too, how you can hear like the other bands that they're into influence their sound going forward, and that's pretty cool. So Absolutely agree. But let's get into the movies. Let's start talking the five that
The
Rex chose here.
Movies.
So we'll start with Pi, 1998, written by Aronofsky himself, and the cinematography by hit us with it, Fax Man. How do you pronounce his name properly? You said it earlier.
Libatique. I
Yeah.
don't know if you want to get all French, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. See, that sounds
Speak it.
right. That's
Speak it.
we had to
Let's
Libatique.
say
go.
Libatech. I don't know.
Libatique.
Matthew Libatech.
Anyway,
Libatique.
just remember us saying that name because he pretty much does all of these aside from the wrestler, and I ain't trying to say his fucking name again. So,
Matthew Libatek.
So yeah, let's talk about Pi. For me personally, I didn't really care for this movie. It's his first film, so I don't have a ton to say about it. But I just, I don't know, it didn't do much for me. But I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say.
That's weak, dude. That's weak sauce.
I thought you loved. Oh yeah, that's right. You love numbers, Danny. You're a math whiz.
No, I don't, dude. This movie gave me anxiety at the fact that he was just like crunching numbers all the time. But no, I like the symbolism in this movie. This movie was clearly about obsession, and he had something, obviously some sort of tick or whatever, staring at the sun when he was a kid, and like he just was so good with numbers or whatnot. But um, it was kind of a trip to just see him go through everything that he was kind of going through, running away from that shadow team like you were talking about, and that lady going from like being super nice and kind of annoying to like borderline scary at the end of the movie. I'm like, damn, this lady's kind of rude. Like,
She slapped the shit out of him.
yeah, but the guy, the main character who played Maximilian, was really good. I thought he played a pretty good paranoid, like, numbers guy. I mean, I can't imagine those people are any
Mathematician.
normal mathematician. Thank you very much. I can't imagine they're, normal in social settings as we might be. So, that whole movie, he's straight up just running from people, especially that hot neighbor he had, dude. I really liked her.
He
I was
couldn't
really
stand
hoping-
her, dude. He
Well,
couldn't
no,
stand
dude.
her.
When he had that episode and then she brought him
brought him
back, like,
samosas.
yeah,
Come on,
dude,
man.
she brought him samosas. Like, she was a cute girl. Like, I was really pulling for her, but that didn't work out, so that kind of sucked.
Yeah, but
And
she's
then,
a 6, he's a 2, so the numbers weren't adding up, so he didn't like her.
And I always
It's more
was
than a
laughing
2-point
at
variance.
I was laughing at the parts where he was like fiddling with his computer, which that rig he had looked like something out of the Matrix. That was just like in his living room, like that thing was nuts. But I just thought it was funny. Like every time he was messing with that stuff, and his neighbors would be banging, and then like the second time they start banging, and the girl's like, "You want to suck on mommy's nipple?" Like I started laughing so hard, dude. I thought that was just totally caught me off guard. It was so funny. But I didn't really not like this movie. I thought it was okay, but like it was kind of a trip, just like he just wanted to get this damn number out of his head, and every time he tried to get the computer going, it would fry out.
He would fry out.
Uh,
I get it.
That's perfect.
I just thought it was crazy that like the entire movie, like he's just trying to get this damn number out of his head, and he was scribbling it on stuff, and I thought that was kind of cool how like when he was writing it that one time he was doing it in that like spiral manner, which kind of
Fibonacci
ratio.
sequence.
right,
Yeah.
and it kind of intertwined a little bit, not really, but with like the fountain, it made me think of the fountain, like when he kept looking at that nebula star or whatever. Anyways, yeah, it wasn't like the worst movie, but it wasn't his best, that's for sure. So, but I liked it.
I agree with that. It was all right. Don't know anything about any of these movies when I go in, except I knew what pie was. Wasn't apple or cherry, but the movie was interesting. I didn't think this was going to kind of touch into like the whole God territory.
Yeah, like the search for God and in the
like
Torah and stuff.
Exactly.
The
And then the
code and the numbers.
the Jewish guy came in and he's like telling him about it and showing him, the golden ratio and all that. And
Yeah, that's that
and-
Fibonacci.
yeah, and it's one of those weird things. I feel like part of the movie is his obsession turned into that weird thing that you get, like you have a pregnant girlfriend, you see a pregnant people all over. You drive a Nissan, you now see Nissan. What is
There is a word
frequency
for it.
illusion. Frequency illusion. That's what it's called.
I
And
think
I
that's
feel
what
like
it
that's
was.
kind of what he was having as well. That was driving him a little insane. But at the same time, I was like, what if it's true? Because as Battlestar Galactica said, to know the face of God is to know madness. And that dude drilled his own head to lobotomize himself. Talk about madness. Plus, you know, the brain like sequences that he was seeing. So I think it was obsession driving him madness, and maybe there could have been some truth.
He was literally being chased by a shadow organization, and they were forcing him to use that shit and stuff.
Look,
to
here's
predict the stock
something.
market.
Here's something I learned from watching Darren Aronofsky's movies right now. Don't believe everything they see. All right? I thought in Black Swan that Mila Kunis was really doing what she was doing to Kira or Natalie Portman, and I was like, no fucking way, dude. This movie took a crazy turn. Then I thought it was fake. So I don't know if there was really truly an organization after him.
You son of a bitch. Every time she sees Mila Kunis do something crazy, Mila Kunis turns into Natalie Portman.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but it turns out that it was still fake. And it happens many times in the movie. Like all the stuff that happens to her, she rips that cuticle all the way back down her finger. Right? That part. But my point is I don't trust everything that we see what they're seeing.
No, I know. I'm just giving you a
hard
time.
Like that's what I've learned. And in this movie, I kind of came at it like really like that because the brain shit, like what he's seeing, the thing growing out of his head, like
that veiny,
that vein that's like his brain is growing too big from knowing this number. But it was interesting, but I also didn't care for the black and white in this one. It was like extra grainy. Like there was Clerks black and white, and then there's this one, and this one he's like, no, rub some sand on that or something.
See, I loved it. It made me think of Nine Inch Nails. Like some song from freaking Pretty Hate Machine should just be playing through that entire movie, that soundtrack. That'd be sick.
There were times where it sounded like there was.
You never know.
That movie is very clearly influenced by, not very clearly because it's kind of an indie Japanese movie, but Tetsuo the Iron Man. I don't know if you ever seen that movie. That movie's pretty crazy. It's about a human man that's turning into a machine, and even like his dick turns into a drill. It's fucking crazy.
God.
I also nice. That's awesome. All right.
Hell yeah.
Drill it.
All drill right. Dick. You got him a drill dick.
Drill it.
If I can get you drilled, dog.
Dude, he did. Max did get drilled. But no, it was I thought it was a cool movie, and you know, I felt like his head popping up kind of correlated with like a computer overloading itself with this number because it can't comprehend it. I don't know. It was all right. It was all right. Probably should have watched it last, but
no, it definitely should have watched it first. It's his debut movie, you know.
Yeah, but I had to borrow it from my brother and or Aaron, and I saw my brother's, so I just grabbed it from him on Sunday.
Sure. He's reliable for that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think it's a solid debut. It's very heavily influenced by this movie, Tetsuo the Iron Man. This is a cool little box set that I can just share with everybody from Arrow. Solid Metal Nightmares.
Arrow.
It's a guy named Tsukamoto, and he directed that movie, Tetsuo the Iron Man. And that movie is literally a Nine Inch Nails music video. I swear to God.
I mean, he's got a drill for a dick. As soon as I
started watching Pi, I was like, "Oh yeah, he's seen that movie too. Fuck yeah!"
Mm-hmm.
I kind of did like that aspect of that movie, which where he's finding, you know, the search for God through the numbers and the patterns, and you know, obviously the Fibonacci sequence. Me being a Tool fan, I'm like, hell yeah, I like that too. That's tight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was really cool to finally know where some quotes from a couple of my favorite songs came from, because Jedi Mind Tricks uses the first lines in Pi, the one where he's staring into the sun and he goes blind. Those lines are in the song Speech Cobras. And that's I fucking love that song. And when I started hearing, it's like the first lines in the movie, I was like, hell yeah, I already like this movie. Um, and then Scars of the Crucifix has the lines from Rabbi Cohen. I think that's the older guy. The what's that guy's name? That the guy from Breaking Bad. I think he's in that.
Sal from Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
name's
yeah.
Saul in this movie, I think.
Yeah. The great name of God. Those lines, the regarding that, are in another Jedi Mind Trick song called "Scars of the Crucifix." So, pretty cool little thing for me to find out. But again, I did like the paranoia and the really down in it kind of camera, the grainy black and white. I was pretty much there for everything. So just short, and I'm a big character guy, and there's a little light on character. Other than Max, he's the big character in the movie. Everyone else is kind of just there. Um, and it was a solid debut though, for sure.
His name is Mark Margulies. He's the
Mark-
landlord in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh, Ace. Hey, yes,
Mr. Chickadance.
Yeah, I think his name in Breaking Bad is Victor Salamanca.
Yeah, Victor
Salamanca.
Salamanca.
The guy in the chair.
Yeah, I think he's in like Scarface and shit too. He's
Bell
in
ringing
something
ass
like that.
motherfucker.
He's from like old gangster movies too back.
Yeah,
in
he
the day.
passed away not too long ago.
Yeah. For me, Pie was just okay. Like I said, like yeah, solid debut. Definitely, I'm not going to knock on it there. It's definitely got a lot of interesting things about it throughout the entire movie. Primarily the music and the way it's filmed. I think those are really the only things that I take away from it. Enjoying. I didn't really care. I thought the acting was really over the top, and like some of the characters delivering some of those lines about mathematics as straight faced as they did. I was like, "Get fucked, dude! I don't want to hear any of this bullshit. I don't care
who
about any of
talks
this
like
shit."
that in a bar?
Yeah.
Oh, you see these numbers? That's the name of God in the numbers, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was just a little.
Lenny was tight.
It was a little bit cheesy for me. It was cheesy for me in that regard, and but I do like the ending though. I like the gradual like working up to the drill, and then the movie just going to black after that. I like that part, or going to white, I should say. And I enjoyed that about it, but overall, yeah, it was just okay to me. I didn't care for it that much, honestly. Probably wouldn't watch it again. I do think that's badass though about the Jedi mind tricks thing for you. I love when that shit happens.
Hell yeah.
I had that happen to me for like years and years and years listening to Slipknot when you hear "Here Come the Pain," and I'm like, I didn't know what that was from, and then I finally watched Carlito's Way like 10 years later, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, that's from that.
Carlito's Way.
Movie side, dude. Are you not a fan? Oh, it's awesome. Anyway, The Fountain. We'll move on to The Fountain. Another one that I didn't really care for the movie overall. When it came out, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I did like it more on this rewatch. But overall, yeah, just also kind of lukewarm to me personally. But Danny boy?
You're such a fuck.
You're a piece of shit, bro. I saw this movie years before you've seen this movie.
No, I don't think so, sir. I saw this
Yeah,
movie
I
a
saw the
very,
theater.
very long time
I
ago.
saw this in the theater with my boys at the time.
Until I see the ticket stub, I don't believe you. Anyways.
Pretty sure it was with Bont and Brendan.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll kill you. I'll fucking kill you.
I'll get.
Tell me I don't understand shit.
You
You
only,
die.
so
you only
sick.
say that, Danny boy,
No,
because
it's so sick.
Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman looks like Tilda Swinton and it gets you cut.
Well, he gave me early Charles Xavier vibes, honestly. I was like, oh, okay, is this like an X-Men prequel or what's going on here? He was the best part of this movie. I mean, Rachel Weisz was good, but as Brandon was saying earlier with one of these characters, I mean, obviously she had a pretty main part in this movie, but like I feel like I didn't get to really see a whole lot of her development, seeing her before she was sick versus, the whole movie she's fucking sick, which is understandable for what the theme is. But Hugh Jackman kills it in this movie. Shocker to anybody. It was a weird one. This is his weirdest one, I would say, as far as like the theme and like what it's about. But I think we kind of touched on it earlier. I feel like it's a love story. It's definitely about loss, knowing that his wife's got this tumor and he's trying to, reduce it while at the same time doing this crazy research, trying to, invent the fountain of youth pretty much. And so I understood that whole aspect of it, but yeah, it was a trip. Like I felt like I was on drugs watching this movie. It was a lot to take in. But
Hell
it
yeah.
was cool. They had like the three stories going on at once, so you were kind of invested in all three of them. Really did know what was going on with the Xavier bald headed guy. I feel like he was some form of an evolutionized human being to where he can manifest a bubble and float towards a star. I guess I don't know.
I don't think you understood the movie, Danny, because they pretty clearly explained that.
I know, but I'm just saying it's odd to look at. But yeah, this was very interesting to hear that he didn't use hardly any CGI in this movie. So I'm curious how he got some of the imagery of like the star and stuff like that. I'm sure they did some weird camera trick or something like that. But I like this movie. It was good.
All right.
This movie kind of sucked. I didn't care for it too much. The themes were all right. Like, obviously, it's about the wife trying to, teach him to accept the loss. Like, there's not, like, no matter what, he needed to spend time with her and take time in the moment. And rather than chase after something that probably won't happen. And his obsession kind of made him lose sight of that. So, like, and then that conquistador kind of story, which is her story, she wrote about him.
Mm-hmm.
About him learning to let go, and that her death
Well,
can
trying to
blossom.
teach him to let go because the conquistador obviously doesn't,
Yeah, the ball thing really throws me off because a lot of that was kind of nonsensical. I get what the meaning was. She thought the star there being hugged by the nebula, like past that would be like their
fountain of youth or something.
Exactly. They found the tree of life, right? Where it'd be infinite and she would be still there. But as he gets there and finally, figures out that's not really what it is.
Oh wait, it's just an exploding star.
Yeah. And oh wait, it's cancer, people die. Like it's like and something can sprout from it, which is why she told him the story about if when they died, they took the seed from the life of tree and planted it on the guy or who died, and it sprouted from them, and she was the metaphorical tree in that sphere, which was even weirder because the way he was like with that bark in the hair because he would breathe on her neck. The movie just didn't hit for me. I was like, this is all right, and Hugh Jackman looking like Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange really threw me off. I didn't understand the reason for. I get he's a monk, but like, I don't know. Either way, this movie was okay. Hugh Jackman is all right in it. Rachel Weisz really wasn't in it.
Huge Jackman.
I like that. He's huge, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I probably one of the weaker ones, and I don't know. This one felt like Noah to me when I saw it years ago, and I think back to it now. It doesn't really fit a lot of the things from Darren Aronofsky I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, I
can see
mean,
that.
I can see that too. I like this one a lot because I do like the themes of love and loss and acceptance, obsession, all that kind of stuff. I like that journey that Hugh Jackman goes on, from the doctor trying to figure out the cure for cancer and trying to find this other greater cure through this research on these chimps. Obviously he breaks through in that at the exact moment that she dies, which is kind of tragic. I always love tragic happenstances like that.
Love it.
But this one, this one was always really like kind of like oh man, that's one of those that gets me teary eyed because I do like as little time as Rachel Weisz has with Hugh Jackman, they do a really good job of establishing a connection between those two. Sitting out on the snow with the telescope
Banging
on the
in the
roof.
bathtub.
All those kinds of cool. I like those scenes a lot. I also this movie has my favorite soundtrack or score, not soundtrack, my favorite score of the movies that we watched. The band Mogwai helped with this score, so I love that. And I think Clint Mansell knocks it out of the park. This also has my favorite cinematography of the movies we watched. I love some of the shots of Hugh doing his katas in front of the stars where he's silhouetted and it's like all stars behind him. And then the shots of the nebula and the spirals of the nebula, and and then some of the conquistador where it's showing him ride the horse, and then the camera flips to the car, and then I don't know, it does some really cool like camera stuff, and I like a lot of the colors, and again the nebula at the very end is like that shit is awesome to me. Watching that, and then watching Hugh just freaking yeah, get it at the end. That's sick. I love when he gets just enough to heal his wound at the end of the movie in the conquistador's story, but he gets greedy and then he drinks from it. He's like, no more, and then he freaking turns into a plant, and that's tight.
Plant Jackman.
Yeah, for me, it's just with this movie having so many different like situations going on through those 3 time periods and 3 sections of the movie. I think it could have benefited from just being a little bit longer and expanding on some of those things and having us spend a little bit more time with Evie. She's probably my favorite thing about the movie as well. I really love that scene and the way it's filmed when he's working and she's like trying to get his attention and he's like, Evie, not right now, and then she's there and then
Izzy.
he looks away. Is it Izzy? I thought it was Evie.
It's Izzy.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Professor Bond. Izzy is there, and then like she's not there, and then he fucking. You can feel it at that moment how she's the situation's growing on you as the viewer too. So when it's time for her to go as well, you're kind of like shit. You kind of feel Hugh Jackman's deal with that. So I like that. And Hugh Jackman, he kills it in this movie. And like I said, I used to dislike this movie, and upon this rewatch, I liked it more. I don't really. I like the final 3 of these movies on the list a lot more than this movie. So it's just kind of how the shit falls. But with all that said, let's move on to The Wrestler, which I'm fucking stoked to talk about.
Hell yeah, best movie of the 5.
Hell yeah. 2008, the only film in the list with a different cinematographer, but it definitely benefits from that. Not that there's anything wrong with the other guy, but the way this is presented fits the story perfectly. So take us away, Danny.
I hate Mickey Rourke.
Me too.
He's really good in this movie. I will give him that. He's really good in this movie.
Yo, what's up with his fingernails?
Well,
Dude,
that
I could
actually
not
might
stop
be a health
looking
concern.
at those.
They're curved like that, yeah.
That thing scared me.
Yeah.
It was like alien fingers.
Yeah, he's got some swollen going on.
Don't touch me.
I don't know. He bothers me, but he's really good in this movie, so I can't knock him for that. Obviously, this movie being about wrestling, I'm way more intrigued because gotta love wrestling. Sorry, Rex. But it's kind of like,
Hell yeah.
watching the downfall of a legend of someone that made a name for themselves and did this for however many years he was doing it, to the point where he has an illegitimate child that he doesn't talk to, and he's just living the same lifestyle and just never really gets out of it. He's awesome in this movie, though. I mean, he's a good actor in this movie for sure, but I just don't like him. Marissa Tomei, on the other hand, is fantastic. She's great at everything, and she's showing her goodies, which can't knock her for that. Thanks, Marissa. But no, she's really good in this movie. And then Evan Rachel Wood, she's in it very little, but how hard is it to play a pissed off teen that never sees your father and resents him? She does it phenomenally. It's very effortless for her, it seems, though. Hopefully she didn't have that background. That would be horrible. But
as a washed up wrestler, this is the perfect role for me.
She's like, I know exactly what I went through with that. I could do, no. But she was good in it for the little bit she was in it. But yeah, this is his best movie. There's a lot of emotion struck from this movie. You really sympathize with him. You feel for him. You watch him, pretty much crumble before your eyes and try to live a normal lifestyle and, working in that deli. And then he kind of gets to a point where he's like, fuck this. Like, I can't do this. This is not, who I am. And ultimately, accepting his fate. And I do love the ending of this movie, kind of leaving it open to, you think you know what happened, but did it? You know?
Yeah, that
But yeah,
dude's
this
dead.
is he's for sure dead. But this is his best movie for sure. The performances are great. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Because I don't think it's really that up to interpretation. I think he's fucking done for. And you just agreed with Brandon when he said it. So it really wasn't up to much interpretation. But I'm just saying.
I agree with Danny. I like the ending's ambiguity, but it's also not like he's definitely dead. But could he have made it?
It just cuts before
Like,
you
could
see
you
it
hold
happen.
Yeah, but I mean, it does that on purpose. I don't know. I feel
It's
like
the whole movie's
he's dead,
tone
for
is leading
sure.
up to that at that point in the film. So it's like that's kind of the consequence because we've been warned as the viewer that he shouldn't be doing this anymore. And then there is a struggle during that match that shows that he's clearly, he might be on a relapse of that second heart attack. So it's a pretty safe assumption that that man does not survive the Ram Jam.
One thing I have learned from Darren Aronofsky is don't ever trust what you see.
You are
Look,
right there.
I'm just saying, like, I agree with everything you said, but still, I don't trust nothing this guy does. The wrestler didn't hit for me. I think partially because I'm not a huge fan of wrestling, so like seeing this more background of it and kind of the acting part of it was just, I don't know, cool, I guess. Mickey Rourke's okay. Marissa Tomei's okay. This movie was okay. I see it as like a wrestling version of Rocky Balboa, just without the previous Ram Jam or Ram Jet or Ram whatever Ram Jam. I don't remember.
Ram Jam.
Yeah. I like that better. Ram Jam, movies, but I felt like it was kind of like a Rocky Balboa for wrestling.
Bro, his entrance music is fucking bang your head. Give me a fucking break, dude. How do you not pop for that?
I definitely
Metal Health will drive you mad.
Dude, the soundtrack of this movie rocks.
It does.
Fucking
Except
round and round.
You got your balls to the walls, man.
Dude, yeah, put him in a vice, dude. I love it.
God.
Sure. This movie was okay.
Jesus.
I don't hate on this movie. This is actually probably the best I've ever seen Mickey Rourke, or is that how you say his name?
You got
Alien
it, babe.
Fingers,
Rourke.
alien guy. His alien fingers, but Iron Man 2 was a tragedy for everyone involved almost.
I mean, on the flip side, this movie is how I saw your debut on Letterboxd. Shout out to your new Letterboxd. People check out Rex now.
I got one.
Yeah,
Rex checks mix.
He gave this one 2.5 stars, though. That son of a bitch.
Rex
But,
checks mix.
Look,
What are you, 12?
it just didn't. I watched this whole thing. Okay, Danny boy, what are you, 4? There's my little Danny boy. Come here.
Rude.
No, it was all right. Like I'll probably end up rewatching it, but I don't know. I didn't get that connection with him or anything. I thought the daughter thing was kind of just a regular trope with these type of movies. I'm not giving Rocky Balboa any more credit than this movie. I don't want
Rocky
anybody to
didn't have
think
no
that.
illegitimate kids, though.
No, but I mean, he still has that trouble with this kid. He's kind of a washed up boxer now, like all this kind of stuff. He doesn't have a connection with his kid. He's a washed up wrestler. I'm not saying they're one for one, but it gave me a Rocky Balboa feeling. And again, I'm not knocking on either one. They're all right in their own terms, but this one just didn't land for me. And the soundtrack might be great for you guys, but I also don't care much for that era of music.
Well, that's too
so
bad.
I can see why you guys love it. So it's right up your alley.
Your
and,
age is showing, young man.
All right, 4-year-old Danny, time for a timeout. So yeah, that's just how I feel on the wrestler.
Man, that's unfortunate, Rex.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I'm such a mark for this movie, bro. I love it. This is my favorite Darren Aronofsky movie. Again, I love the soundtrack. I think Mickey Rourke is great. I love the in the ring, visceral way it's shot. I wonder if Matthew Libatek could have done as good a job as this guy. I wonder what kind of movie we would have got with him instead. Because all the other parts are there. Clint Mansell does the same, the score, not the soundtrack. And obviously Aronofsky's there. I don't know that he wrote this one though.
I wonder if
No,
it's just a
it's written
timing
by
issue.
Robert Siegel.
Okay.
I wonder if it's just a timing issue, like he might have been doing another movie and just wasn't
Probably.
available to do the
Yeah.
wrestler.
I mean, the fact that they've been able to do 9 movies or whatever it is together is insane. This, like I said, this movie it hits on all the right points for me. I love wrestling. I love the tragic hero. Where and especially like where he is told he can no longer do his thing, like Aaron was saying, but he tries to make it work. And man, he
Rocky.
has a lot more patience than I do because I worked at a fucking deli and Albertsons, and that shit sucks. Actually, he doesn't have more patience than I do.
I was about to say he wrecked that store on his way out.
But I will say, like, I can't believe that it wasn't that dumbass old lady that didn't break the fucking bag, dude.
Oh,
Little more.
You could just finally
Little
leak
less.
out of her macaroni.
Little less.
A little more, a little less.
A little
man.
less.
Fucking
man.
bitch.
Having PTSD.
She was the best part of the movie.
Oh, freaking A, man. No, she was not, dude. Don't you say that.
You loved her so much, you remember her, and she gives you a feeling. She did
But I
great.
do love when he's playing when he first gets that job back there, and he like, what you need good looking to that like schlubby guy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The dude looks so confused too. He's like 2 pounds of ham.
And then he tosses it to him like it's a football. It's like, hey man, hey, like I said, I worked at the deli. You gotta find fun where you can. But
Absolutely.
yeah, Randy the Ram or Robin or whatever.
His name is Robin, but I think you're
Robin.
Randy.
A Ram Jam, man, dude. Let's go. Sad to see him go. I do kind of like how you never get to see him do like mic work because his mic work is his real life in our perspective of this movie. I don't know if anyone's else a fan of wrestling out there, but I am. So it's kind of
What do you
interesting.
mean by mic work?
So in wrestling,
Like promo.
Every wrestler gets a chance to get on the mic and kind of like make you like him. And
Establish himself.
you see none of that from him because you only see his matches, and that's because we actually get to see his life and we get to see him not as a character but as a real person outside of the ring. And then inside of the ring, that's our only semblance of who he is in the ring is his performance in the ring.
And it also
so
goes
that
to
was the
show that,
meme.
like, he's washed up and he's doing, like, these house shows. He's not, like, wrestling in front of huge, huge crowds. So
Yeah.
I think maybe that had something to do with it, too. But I prefer your interpretation.
So that's why he gave kind of that speech at the end. It was kind of him telling the story, like his story to them.
Yeah.
And his mic
Yeah,
moment, what
absolutely.
you guys called it.
Yeah, it was the culmination
That
of
was his
everything
promo,
we've
yeah, yeah.
seen.
Yeah, everything we've seen, but that was his like.
Yeah, well, and I love in that match too, where he's fucking having a heart attack, and the guy knows that the dude's like something's not right, and he says, "Hey man, we gave them enough." And if you're a wrestler, it's never enough. You give them everything and more. That's kind of they always talk about that in the business, and that's why I fucking love wrestling so much, is because those guys literally will go out there, jump off that fucking top rope day in day out, and they'll do that till their body breaks and they die for our entertainment. It's great, and like I love that shit, man. I'll get emotional talking about that stuff. Randy the Ram make me cry.
For me personally, The Wrestler is phenomenal. It's far and away by a country mile his best film.
Yeah.
I love the way it's shot. I love so many things about it. When he first gets the job and he works in the deli, there's that scene where he's he's on his way out from the back of the deli and his music is playing. It's almost like his entrance theme for
Hell yeah.
when he's going out to the ring. So sick to me
It's all
because it's
drowned
like,
out too, yeah.
yeah, because it's like, it's him trying to embrace what he's got to do versus what he wants to do. And I think that whole dynamic has felt really well there. And then kind of like what you said, we never see him do any promo work until the very end. And when we finally do, it's just from a place deep down in his heart and his soul. And it's like, you can tell he's given everything to the business and nothing to his actual life. And we're seeing that at the end. And it's so fucking well done.
We never see Randy Ram the character. We are with Robin the whole movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah,
it's just a great film because we'll usually see movies like this and they're from the perspective of things that are much more relatable for the audience. We'll see like a down and out cop or a down and out firefighter or a teacher or someone that's just like lived their life and it's a totally a crapshoot for them at that point on. But now we're seeing this from a wrestler's point of view, and I really love the movie doing that. And it's like it's so unrelatable for a lot of people, like even so far as to say like what Rex is saying, like he's not really a wrestling fan, so it doesn't hit with him. But when the movie came out, I was long past my wrestling days, and I still just loved it. I think this is a career-defining performance for Mickey Rourke. I don't think he'll ever do anything as good as this again.
Dude, I cannot tell you how much if I was one of those kids and I lived next to a wash-up wrestler.
See, that's a really
doing moves on them. That's the best thing, dude.
That's a great scene too, where we're kind of seeing how Robin has lost touch with reality, like, or he's still playing this fucking super dated game,
fan, bro.
Yeah, and the kid is talking about playing
Nintendo, dude.
And the kid's talking about playing Call of Duty, so it's just like it's another aspect that shows us just
when
how
he busts out of the van and he wrestles all those kids.
But yeah, no, but I was just making that point about the two dynamics of that.
It's crazy to not think that your guys' love for wrestling doesn't relate to your love for this movie, because the three people who love it are the three people here who love wrestling.
My love for wrestling absolutely translates to this movie.
So I think that's a big portion of it, and I think a boxer probably, or people who love boxing would love a Rocky movie more than I do.
Aaron's the one that said that he wasn't a wrestling fan when he discovered this movie, and
yeah, it was past my time. I saw it in the theater.
Had been a wrestler fan.
Yeah, a decade prior to its release. Yeah,
I never had that. I watched it with my brother and thought it was lame. Even when I was a kid, thinking Power Rangers was still tight. I don't know. It was just my opinion. Like I got nothing against people who love wrestling. I've got nothing against anything. Like I think it's cool. Like I think it's cool.
Next time I see you, you're getting the fucking Ram Jam.
Bro, I will ram jam this foot into your nuts.
But yeah, I will say, like I said, it's my favorite of the bunch. So I could go on and on about that movie. It really is one of my favorite movies of all time. So, but let's talk Black Swan, 2010. Also not written by Darren Aronofsky, written by Andres Hines, and also a great film and definitely my second favorite film in his 5 here. So I'm excited to talk about this one as well. Danny boy.
Man, who could say no to girl on girl action? Who could say no to girl on girl action with Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman? That's not what the movie's about, but it's a great plus. This movie is such a trip. Again, going back to the themes of being obsessive and perfect, and you could tell this girl literally grew up as a ballet dancer. Her mom seems to be was a part of that company at one point, and obviously grew out of it. But I kind of got like Carrie vibes from this movie a little bit. Not obviously that she was like possessed by some supernatural being or whatnot, but with the mom and everything. Barbara Hershey is such a great actress. I love her. And she scared the shit out of me in this movie, dude. Like there's the scene where she's just like crying in the other room, and then like the next thing you know, she's just behind her. Like she definitely made this movie feel more like a horror movie. And then a lot of the body horror in this movie was gnarly as hell too. Like we were talking about earlier, the peeling of the fingernails and
dude, that's just a fear I have.
And then her just pulling the feathers out of her body and stuff, and the whole scratching thing. Obviously, that being like an obsessive compulsive thing. but I felt like, and I don't know what the correct term would be, but like she's not like a schizophrenic, but she's obviously seeing shit.
Maybe borderline personality.
Borderline personality, yeah. But definitely dealt. It kind of dealt with the mental health issue, but it kind of didn't. It was making you as the viewer think that this was really happening until obviously the very end. But I think that's going back to what Rex said. You can't really believe everything you see in these movies until the end. But Natalie Portman, this is her best movie. There's no question. She definitely deserved the Oscar. Mila Kunis is really good in this too. She's just a gorgeous, gorgeous woman. But yeah, the MVP in this movie is Thomas. I forget that actor's name.
That guy's
Vincent
a
Cassel.
creep. Get out of
Yeah.
here.
But he was a great creep.
He was.
And then Barbara Hirsch, dude.
Well, it says
Barbara
he's
Hirsch
French.
was so great. My favorite parts of these movies, of the movie, were those two. But this is my favorite Aronofsky movie for sure. I love this one. This is my favorite.
I watched this after The Wrestler. Oh boy.
This is like the female wrestler.
Oh man, this movie took me for a trip. I thought this movie was actually going to be boring as hell. I was like, pluses, Keira Knightley, Darren so far.
Who?
I'm sorry.
Thinking
I
of the
get them
devil
confused all the
from
time.
Star
Natalie
Wars.
Portman. Yeah, Natalie Portman. Sorry. I think they look a lot alike. They're both like really beautiful. and
She
they
was her
look
stunt
alike.
double in Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because they look alike.
There you go.
No, but Natalie Portman, I'm sorry. But I thought it was actually going to be just like a ballet movie. Like a memoir or something like that of a ballet movie. Boy, did this just take me on a whole thing starting out. Like Natalie Portman, that she has like 3 facial expressions in that whole movie. Straight face, almost crying, and orgasming. And holy moly, dude, her face that whole movie, I felt like almost everything I felt like she was feeling was always this inferiority but obsession. Like she didn't understand what it was to be a ballerina, but she was obsessive over it.
That was the scariest part of the movie when she's fucking beaten in the morning and then she turns over and her mom's sitting in the chair right there.
Yeah.
Dude, that scared the shit out. She looks over, bam, and I saw her mom. I was like, oh no.
Like, you imagine getting
Dude, Hirsch. She comes out of nowhere, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm almost sure her mom knew. She just pretended to be asleep.
No, she
Like,
was,
that's how creepy
she
she
probably
is.
had her hand down there too somewhere. There is a weird relationship in that movie.
Yeah, it was like a mother. I felt like forcing her daughter into being what she never was.
No, for sure.
Or what could it be?
Super dominating and over,
and like
controlling.
It was weird because Tomei, he is a creep and Tomei, whatever. He's a creep and an a-hole, but he knew exactly what she needed and like how to bring it out of her. And it was creep, but it was also like purposeful, and it did help her, not mentally, but to actually do her dancing properly in the end when she actually embodied the Black Swan and actually was able to do like he said, like it doesn't have to be perfect.
I know this girl is super fragile, but she could make a great Black Swan if I break her.
I think that's what a lot of these people in these industries do, is that they find find people who are fragile like this that they can mold. But unfortunately for her, she was...
God.
I don't really.
I want a prequel to this movie with Winona Ryder. I want to see her rise and fall. That would be great.
Winona Ryder was in this. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was about to be pissed off because nobody had brought her up yet, and I was like, come on,
Winona Ryder.
All right. Oh man,
dude. Yeah, when she came out screaming, I was like, what the fuck? She's in this. But no, this movie took me for a trip, and again, I didn't know what was real and what wasn't a lot of the time, like, because she didn't seem like she knew, and just the pressures of what's going on and her not being mentally capable of handling it on top of, she had some type of schizo. Like, you don't walk around seeing your face on other people unless you're a little schizo, plus anorexia and stress will mess your brain up so bad from not eating properly. and a whole bunch of other things, which probably caused her scratch and stuff. I don't know. The movie, when she killed Mila Kunis, I hoped that it was Mila Kunis, but I knew it wasn't. I hoped.
It
Because I was like,
was.
fuck Mila. She was after him. It was really a plot because as soon as she showed up, she's all, she was supposed to be sick. And I was like, there's the real one. There's that Mila. That's the real one. Fuck you. So I was glad when she got the little jank, but I knew it wasn't real. But anyways, yeah, this movie is probably my second favorite. After definitely going into this thing, and this movie was probably going to be boring as hell. I was in it the whole way.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. I like the twists and turns as well, and the ambiguity. It's another one about obsession and dominance from the mother's side again. I like. Shit, I'm kind of like. I have my notes here.
Noted up. Noted.
Yeah, I mean, I like the paranoia and the jealousy aspect. It's a fun movie. The fingernails shit fucked me up. If you're really into this kind of like identity crisis sort of movie, I think it takes a lot from an anime called Perfect Blue, which is a really good movie. I'm not going to say Darren Aronofsky stole it or anything like people on the internet would have you believe, but I definitely think they have a lot of similarities, and they're both really good movies. So I recommend both of these movies. But yeah, Black Swan is sweet. Natalie performance, career defining performance. Winona Ryder, always happy to see her. Great cinematography. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
I really like this one. I was also interesting. I didn't remember him being in it, but because I guess he had gotten bigger since then. But Sebastian Stan had that small
that's
little role
right,
in this
yeah.
movie. He like popped up. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, it's Winter Soldier trying to get some. Winter Soldier's trying to bang Padme. What do I do?
No, that actually.
do I tell Anakin or do I tell
The
Captain?
ecstasy scene was fucking awesome.
Fun fact: the male dancer that she dances with is her husband, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah.
The one that Mila grabs his nuts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hollywood's crazy.
For me, Black Swan though was damn good as well. It's like right below The Wrestler overall. I love the way it's shot. The acting is crazy good from Natalie Portman. She deserved that Oscar. Like Brandon said, career defining. Same thing with Brendan Fraser. I'm not a big Brendan Fraser fan. I thought same thing with him in The Whale. I think Darren Aronofsky has the ability to pull that out of people, and he pulled it out of Natalie Portman. I've never been a huge fan of her either. I really feel like she's just really one lane. So in Black Swan, we actually get to see her, show us what she's got. Show me what you got.
Yo, that's
I think she
Padme,
fucking
dog.
does it. Yeah. But Black Swan is a great film, and I think it deals with a lot of good themes. And one of my favorite scenes in that movie is when she goes to see what's his name? You guys said his name like 5 fucking times already. Toma. And he's telling her, he's like, he's like, you've nailed the white swan. He's like, but it's the black swan that you can't seem to get. And then she bites his lip. And the scene where they film the look on his face where he knows, he's like, I can get it out of her. I can.
That's what I mean. Like,
I can prey on her, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just film again. It's that facial expression shit that he does really well, and I think Black Swan nails it with everybody, even Mila Kunis, who is again not a great actress. She's beautiful,
She's
like
middle of the
Danny
road.
said, but she's very middle of the road, and she's not impressive as an actress really. But she also kind of just brings her A game here. So, yeah, Black
A
Swan.
game when she gets stabbed.
I recommend the anime that Brandon mentioned as well, Perfect Blue. I'm not too into anime myself, but that one is actually worth checking out. Yeah, it's very good. And I can see the similarities that are being, mentioned and brought towards Black Swan with that. But you can say the same thing about Tarantino. If you're a film buff, you'll watch movies where he's completely ripped those movies off. Like Lady Snowblood, if you watch that movie, he clearly just ripped that movie off for Kill Bill. In half of the regards of the things he does in that movie are in Lady Snowblood. So it's just art imitating art, which is always kind of cool to me. But let's move on to Mother 2017.
Hell yeah.
This one's written by Aronofsky himself. This movie's a trip. I didn't see this one until maybe like 2 years ago or less, so it was kind of fresh for me. But then on the rewatch, I still thought it was a trip. So hit us with it, Danny boy.
This movie is a damn fever dream.
Hell yeah.
I had so much anxiety watching this again. Like, so I remember watching it, but I don't remember like how like it goes from 0 to 60 really quick. Um, the house, the labyrinth, as we were calling it earlier, is the best part about this movie because you never feel like you're in the same room, except for maybe a few instances. Maybe it's like the kitchen or like the living space area room or whatever they call it. But like other than that, I felt like I was in a different room every time that the camera would pan out or she would run out of a room or go to another hallway or something like that. So I liked that aspect of the movie. I mean, I still think this is the like best shot movie just because of how limited the space was. I mean, this whole movie takes place in a house, but you feel like you're in a whole nother world. And I know there's some subtleties to what this movie's really about, the true meaning. It just kind of goes over my head. um it's a little over the top. I mean, yeah, there was a part where I thought it felt like I was watching Project X, like when everybody's just like throwing shit in the house and just wrecking her house and just fucking it up and like water squirting everywhere and shit. Like it was almost too much. But I think at the same time, that's all kind of like the collapse of like her own mind. I feel like that was all kind of obviously maybe not all superimposed, or maybe there was a cult following, or maybe she was just imagining this, like you never really kind of fully understand until towards the end. But J Law was great. I mean, got a little, chesticle shot, can't complain.
I was waiting for when he was going to mention that. I was waiting.
Yes.
I
Amazing.
really like Javier Bardem. He's one of my favorite actors. I feel like
Gaib, baby.
Lisan Al Gaib. He plays a really good. You want to hate him, but you think that there's a part of him that's like feeling sorry for her and all that she's going through. But at the same time, he's like so fucking full of himself and so into himself, and has this breakthrough of finally being able to write, and kind of throws her off to the side. It was a trip. The movie is definitely a trip. It wasn't my favorite. It was enjoyable, but I more or less just like the way it was shot, to be honest.
Understandable.
Totally agree. This movie was shot crazily. I felt like between Jennifer Lawrence's character and what was going on in the house, between both of them was giving me crazy anxiety. Like you feel it from her. All of a sudden there's one guy. Now it's two. Now it's two people. Now it's three. Now it's four. Someone's dead. Now it's a party.
Like charcuterie boards out.
Yeah,
like,
there's shark. They're doing
where did they come
crazy
from,
things,
dude?
and it was like
Hey,
the
yo, you got
movie's
that
just.
cheese?
Hey, you got that lemon? Bro, I got a secret ingredient. It's my family's secret. She's like, what, lemons are a secret?
All right,
I
yeah.
love those subtle shots she throws at that mean old bitch. Oh, dude.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
I never want to
Michelle
hit a lot
Pfeiffer,
of
yeah.
people,
Yeah.
but I want to just
Michelle
give her a
Pfeiffer?
good one. Dude, Michelle can get this Pfeiffer. Dude, she pissing me off in that movie, how she was treating her. And also, it was so weird until you said at the end, but they all keep laughing when she says my house.
Mhm.
Even early on, she's like, this is my house. They go, your house. And then move on. Like it's just a trip, and they keep doing it to her. And I really don't, honestly. I think the meaning of this movie kind of went over my head. I think it's about, the dude being God and looking for something perfect. Like he's making the perfect something because she, to her fault, was they kept saying, oh, you're really in love with him. Like she was dedicated to him, but he couldn't love her because God doesn't love you, he is to be loved, or some shit like that. So that's why at the end when he says that, he's like, because you're supposed to, and then rips her heart out and starts again. Like I feel like he's searching for the perfect, and she just didn't make it. But also, holy shit, that scene when the cold starts coming in, that's the craziest scene in a movie ever, I feel like, because people are coming in, they're ripping things out of the wall. The bitch takes the phone from her, and then the dude rips the phone off the wall, and she's all scumbag. And then, like, all of a sudden, the cops are in there. They're grenading, they're bombing, smoking. The dude tries to save her, gets his head blown off. Like, all of a sudden, now there's, like, a reverend cult dude who's, like, leading them all, like,
Right.
sacrifices. There's cage trafficking.
My
Dude, it was
favorite part
insane.
about that whole progression was Kristen Wiig's character. How she was all
yeah.
like,
Oh
how
my
she was all
God.
like bubbly and stuff and jovial, and then like at the end she just
She's
showed him
the
getting
publisher.
murdered. Yeah,
She's just walking by with two guns, just bam, bam, bam. She's like,
Dude,
her. There you've been,
that's
killer.
what tricked me out though. Like the lapse of time, you really couldn't tell. You know, like if she, but that's what made me wonder. I'm like, is she seeing all this, or is this happening in real time? And she's just like trying to catch up. She can't seem to get ahead of it. You know,
I'm
like
pretty sure when she gets the shit beat out of her, it was real.
oh,
Because that scene fucked me up. I almost couldn't watch that.
That was rough.
Holy crap, that was a rough scene. Like that camera angle, being down in there with her under them, like.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I don't know. That scene, that movie, that whole movie gave me crazy ass anxiety watching it, but it was so good. This is probably my third favorite movie by him, and they probably one of J Law's best performances. I think she was perfect in this movie for this role. That's all I gotta say about that.
Bont's about to lay it on you guys.
Yeah, let's hear this.
Right.
Let's hear this, Bonte.
Bonte, I like that.
Darren Aronofsky had a sledgehammer when he went in to film this movie. And that sledgehammer was metaphor, and he decided to beat me to death over the course of 2 hours with metaphor, and I kind of resent him a little bit for it.
I totally get that.
I haven't seen this movie since it came out in the theater, and I remember actually kind of liking it after I saw it in the theater, probably because when it was over, like there were a bunch of like a group of like moms or like, you know, mid to late 30s early 40s women in the row in front of me, you know, because they were probably going there to see a Jennifer Lawrence movie. And when it was over, all four of the women looked at each other and were like, what the fuck did we just watch? So I think maybe over the years, that alone kind of made me view this movie with maybe rose-colored glasses, because watching it this time, I'm like, yeah, this cool. I get it, bro. I get it. Like, he's God, she's Earth. So this is my interpretation of the movie.
There it is.
Yeah, is he's God and she is Earth, and she is in absolute undenying dedicated love with God. God then creates man, and he falls in love with his own creation. God loves Earth, but he's more in love with the idea that his creation loves and adores him, you know. And over the course of the movie, you see, you know, it kind of hits bullet points of the Bible, like Ed Harris's Adam. He's puking in the toilet, and he's got a stab wound or whatever in his rib. And then all of a sudden, his fucking wife shows up, and then Cain and Abel, fucking Domhnall Gleeson, can't remember the other guy. He kills him, but I do love when Javier
With a
Bardem
doorknob.
takes fucking Domhnall Gleeson and slams his goddamn head against the mantle. And, dude, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. He fucks him up, dude. And then and then he gets the mark from God, because after Cain killed Abel, God marked him. So, and then it's just literally, and there's no subtlety to any of these metaphors. It's like literally just that. And it after a time, I'm just like, bro, like, did you just eat a whole bowl of beans because you are smelling your own farts? Something fierce with this movie. Like, it was. I love me some pretension. We've all called me the snob of this fucking shit. Like, but this was a little too much. Like, it was. There was just no subtlety to it. But I do like the way it was filmed. Javier Bardem and Jennifer Lawrence are acting their asses off for the bullshit that they're given. And Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that you call her Earth because
Or
I would
Mother
say the opposite.
Nature,
I would
or
say different. I would say she is the epitome of what he wanted humans to be.
well, I
Because the
mean,
Earth he
maybe the
wouldn't
house,
destroy.
maybe the house is Earth, and she is nature. She's the guardian of Earth. Because even at the beginning, they're talking about it like, oh no, I didn't build this house. She built it. She did everything with this house. She took care of
Right.
the house. So like she is definitely some protective force over the house, over Earth. I think there's a lot of like environmentalist messaging to this movie as well, because the more and more people are invading the house, the
Yeah.
more they're destroying it, and the
Yeah. No.
more they're fighting each other for resources in the house. The guy takes the phone and she's like, "Hey, that's my phone." He's like, "Yeah, but he told you to share." And then he doesn't even get the phone to his ear before the other lady's like, "No, that's mine. He told you to share." And then the other guy rips it off the wall. Like there's definitely some sort of environmentalist message there. I think this is just all what I'm taking from the movie. And
Hear you on the Earth thing, but the house being the Earth, because throughout the course of the movie, the floor with the blood on the floor.
well, that was where Abel was killed.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though, and there was constantly something always there. Progressively, as the movie goes on, it like turns into like an ember. So for me, I could see the metaphor of it being like the Earth is like constantly always dying, and yeah, all these other new people coming in and destroying it, they're fucking it up even more, even more, even more. No matter how you're trying to get rid of these people, get out of here, get out of here. It's like it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Well, this is my main reason why I think it was more Jennifer Lawrence represents what he wanted humanity to be, because nature doesn't destroy itself. And what does she do at the end? Blows the
Nature
house
does
up.
destroy itself,
but in a natural way. Like you have a balance
like
in nature,
going
but you
crazy
don't
with
have a
weather right now.
balance. Yeah, but you don't have balance in people. And he wanted her to be so loving at the end that he wanted her to be okay that they ate her baby, because he thought it was something that needed to be done. And if you are truly gonna love somebody unequivocally, you would go with what thinks that would make them happy, which she does in the movie up until she gives birth, which he then sits there in front of her and waits till she, like you said, he uses that kind of domineering mother theme, and she yells at him, "I'm the mother," and it stops him and he sits.
Yeah.
And then at the end, his little conversation with her is like, I'm here to be loved, and I tried with you and it didn't work. And you see throughout the movie the heart going black, and I think that's where he was trying to fix, because humanity is flawed, but like you said, he loves humanity and he loves to be loved.
Yeah,
So
I
the
think
only
he loves
thing,
the adoration. Yeah,
the adoration, but Earth is already perfect without us, so he doesn't have to destroy and recreate Earth. But humans are we are just we're fucked up, as you see through the movie. So we're not a perfect creation for
sure.
him. So that's I think
there's multiple ways to interpret the movie, definitely. And
like I said, it was interesting you chose Earth. I can see what you mean, though.
And I mean, the last thing I will say about it is I do love a movie that'll push the envelope enough to where they murder and eat a newborn baby. That's fucking metal.
Jesus.
Wow.
The Witch, yeah.
Hell yeah, that's sick too.
I think you're both pretty much right on the money with the interpretations. Like, I think you're supposed to think multiple things. The metaphors are extremely heavy-handed. Bont and I were talking about that beforehand, but I'm on the other side of the token. I like how heavy-handed the metaphor is. I don't usually like religious films or anything about religion either. I'm kind of on the same fence as Bond. I mean, I won't hate on things because of it being that. Not saying he is doing that, but sometimes he does. I think I come at it from a more neutral standpoint, where I think it's interesting. The lore of all that stuff is really interesting, and I think I like what Aronofsky does. Hey, that's all it is to me, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
I like what he chooses to do with it here, and I think it breaks it down really, really well. And I like how like I said, in your face it is with it, because it's like, if I'm in the mood for that kind of thing, I'm going to watch a movie like this, like it's going to have its uplifting moments. It's going to have its chaotic moments, but I kind of view her personally as like Mother Nature. And I think that's why she's the only constant in the film. Like, she's constantly reborn and there's chaos constantly around her. You know, the only other exception with that is God, and that's what he is, you know, and him being the poet and shit. And that's my interpretation of the movie, and I think that's why it's called Mother and everything. So
Yeah.
I
And the
think
house would
all
be
you know,
Earth to me. I don't know.
yeah. I think that's kind of what I think that's you know the way the three of us or four of us have broken it down is kind of what the movie is, and I think it's great that it's so heavy-handed in my opinion. Personally, I really wouldn't want to sit here and be like, what is that supposed to mean, and what is that supposed to mean, and what is that supposed to mean? I think he knows that, and he's like, here, boom, 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 follow my lead, you know, and I think he masterfully does that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's fucking tight.
So sick. It's like Mother Nature and humans, dude.
Yeah, dude. Freaking.
So yeah, overall, I mean, I think you know Aronofsky will have an impact and legacy on future filmmakers. I think you know, like we talked about, he's for our generation, he's kind of one of the bigger names in the game, um, and there will be other people like him. But I think he fits into this last 2 decades in a good niche way, and hopefully he'll continue to do crazy good shit. But I think he's definitely left an impact already with things like Requiem, and you know, I know for extra credit, Bont had watched Noah and Requiem, and obviously I've seen Requiem. I don't know how you guys feel about that movie. I personally think it's awesome.
I really
lot.
like it. I think
It's
it's
a
a
lot.
great
Movie
movie.
sucks.
It's got a terrible. It hits all my favorite points. It ends terribly. There it is.
Shit,
Everyone is
right.
fucked
It's
over
worse
at the
than
end.
death. Yeah, it's worse than death. What they got, in my opinion.
I think that movie shows anxiety really well too, with all the different situations. Like it just fucking, especially with Jerry Leto's mom. To me, her scenes are the most nerve wracking, like David Lynchian shit ever, dude. Like I don't know, it just freaks me out, and it always has. So I think it kind of hits in that regard. But
I also think all the clicks and cabinet shutting door openings and all the noises they do, if you put it all together, you can make a
so
sweet
annoying.
beat,
Oh
sweet
my
rap
god.
beat to the background. Because it's just
See, that movie just
constant,
annoys me now. Yeah. Oh my god. Like,
I thought it was sweet. Like it really added to this kind of, to me, especially with the mom, it added that kind of like,
whoa.
yeah, and that like real fast moving, like gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta get that. Just
Aggressive.
hell yeah. Well,
yeah, I thought it was great.
Pretty great.
Fuck Jared Leto.
do you actually feel like it's pretty great, Danny? I was curious. Do you like that movie?
I do like that movie. I don't like the part where he cuts his arm off, but my favorite is the ass to ass. That's my
Ass to
all-time
ass.
favorite. Yep.
Yeah, our
Yeah, that
old
movie's
buddy
messed
used
up,
to
though.
repeat that line all the time. Yeah, so impact and legacy though, like what do you guys feel about what he's going to be thought of or how he's done so far?
I think he's done some pretty pivotal films to where he'll be recognized for a while. I am looking forward to his newest movie. I know they were filming it recently. It's called Caught Stealing. Austin Butler's in it. Matt Smith, I think, the guy that was in the new Game of Thrones. I believe he was the Doctor Who also. And then Lev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, excuse me. So it's a pretty sweet cast. I'm not really sure what it's about. It looks like it's based in like 1990s punk era New York, like CBGB vibes or something. So curious to see how that is. But no, I think he's definitely going to have some recognition. The movies that we watched are, pretty pivotal films, especially, ones like, where people are winning awards, Natalie Portman and whatnot. But yeah, he's definitely someone that pushes the envelope and does things differently and kind of stands out on his own, but not really. I mean, he's definitely his own breed, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm curious to see what other films he's going to have. I always like to anticipate more films from some of these guys because they're not that old. I mean, I don't think he's that old. I think he's like maybe in his mid 50s or something. But
He's 56.
thank you so much. Look at that, mid 50s.
Didn't he also marry Jennifer Lawrence after Mother?
I think they
I
dated.
believe so.
He was dating. They were dating. Yeah.
Might have had a child. Who knows?
I I think hopefully he has a long lasting effect because he already does for me. I don't think I'm going to trust anything I see anymore, like all the way. But I really like his style, and I really like some of the things I felt like he pulled from. Like I said, Summer of Sam. He pulled some things from that movie. I mean, just Spike Lee in general, and a few other people I've seen. Especially now that we're going through these directors, it's kind of easier for me to like when I see something, I'm like, oh, this is very reminiscent of blah blah blah. But anyways, he's good at that. But I think he's also, like we've all said, he's kind of going to pave the way forward for newer directors and hopefully inspire people like to still kind of do these weird movies while still being able to do a movie like Noah, which is, I assume, a studio movie. Kind of like Spike Lee did
Russell Crowe's
Inside.
hilarious in that movie.
That's literally all Brandon's review is for that movie too. If you go into his letterbox,
That's awesome. But I hope
I'm gonna watch it just for that reason.
Out. I hope everything he has comes out just as good because The Whale. I mean, he's still putting out something like The Whale. I hope it just gets even better from here.
Dude, watching his little chubby feet get lifted off the air in the end had me fucked up.
Dude, I thought the whole time I'm thinking he's gonna kill her. He's gonna fall on her and kill her.
It's always the fall that makes you it breaks my heart.
I think Darren Aronofsky definitely will have an impact and influence. He's definitely got his fans. I think his biggest credit to film is being able to really facilitate these iconic performances from these actors. That's going to be the thing that stands the test of time for me, for him. Obviously Natalie Portman and Mickey Rourke both won Oscars for their roles in those movies, so I mean they got the recognition that everyone saw from those movies. So yeah, I think that's going to be his big contribution, which is a good thing. I mean, that's something you want out of a director, is someone to be able to get that next level performance out of someone.
Like Tomei.
Like Thomas, man.
Come on, dude.
I think I have a
His name's
sneaking
Tomei.
suspicion that Vincent Cassel is probably a creep in real life, just because, I mean, he's French. Look at him.
He nails it, so probably.
He wasn't acting.
But some more of his metaphorical stuff kind of just misses the mark for me, and is often a little too heavy-handed for me. I like more. I guess as an example, the like Enemy from Denis Villeneuve is is an example of a movie that uses a lot of metaphor, but is done. It works better for me, I guess, is the way to put it, in the nice way to put it. Anyway, Aaron.
No, I get what you're saying. No, for sure, I get what you're saying. It's that movie's a lot less in your face and more subtle, so it makes you think a little harder about it, and it takes away from the thinking man's part of the movie to have everything explained to you or like drawn out for you the way Mother does. I get that. So, and I just think I don't typically like that either. I like to figure shit out, but things like with religion being as complicated as they can be, and if you're going to go for those metaphors in general, I think you should be pretty heavy-handed with it. Only in that regard, though. But no, I totally agree. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Darren Aronofsky. Next week, we're going to talk Greaves. He's a Seattle, Washington rapper on the same record label as Atmosphere, if you're familiar with him. Going forward for music episodes, our good buddy Bont will not be joining us on those.
He doesn't have an ear for it.
Pussy.
He just doesn't want to do it. It's all good. The three of us will carry the torch
like
on the
movies.
music. Yeah. He's got the passion for the films, so we'll handle the music.
What? Passion of the Christ?
Maybe.
That's his biggest passion.
This has been your boy Practical.
Danny boy.
Rex.
Brad?
What?
That was such a reluctant sign off. Like I don't know. Did you
Come
have
on,
more to
man.
say?
You got something to say?
I wanted like that, like nice, warm sitcom sign off.
Oh, hey. Guys, it's been good. It's been a good talk about Darren Aronofsky. We've come together. We've disagreed, but at the end, we're all friends. This is Brandon. It's your boy. Have a great night.
That's what I'm talking about. Dude.
Hell yeah!
That's some radio
yeah.
sign off
Damn, I
stuff.
might chub up right now.
Fuck
Dude.
yeah! All right. Well, we will catch you next week with that. We'll just sign right
get
off.
torn.
On that one. Yeah.
I gotta get toward now.